Hello and welcome back to the video on Parshat Balak. As the name suggests, we have in this week's portion the story, the very famous story of how Balak, the king of Moab, wants to get rid of and harm the Jewish people, and he summons the prophet Bilam to come and curse the Jewish people. Bilam initially refuses, and Balak, the king of Moab, sends a number of groups of ministers to try and persuade Bilam to come and help him out in harming and getting rid of the Jewish people. And after a number of attempts, Bilam, the prophet, turns round to the latest group and he says to them, stay with me for the night and let's see what God actually says to me. And therefore we are told, Vayavoy Elokim el Bilam Laila, that God came to Bilam at night. Vayom Eloi, and said to him, Im likroi lecha bo hanoshim, if the men came to summon you, kum lech itom, arise and go with them. But es hadavar asher adaber elecha, only the thing that I shall speak to you, oisoi sa'aseh, that shall you do. Oisoi sa'aseh, that shall you do, which it's a little strange when you think about it, because surely it should have said oisoi to daber, that shall you say, that which, after all, Balak had asked him to come and curse the Jewish people, so he wasn't expected to physically do anything himself, rather he was expected to say something himself. And therefore, surely, it would have been better to have said, in the Torah, I say, Hashem to say to Bilam, that which I tell you to do, I say, sedaber, that shall you say. That which I speak to you, you shall in turn speak to the Jewish people. In other words, you shall bless them instead of curse them, as we see later on. But what Hashem is telling, the message that Hashem is telling Bilam over here, is very strong. He says to him, look, come, lechitom, get up, go with them. You want to go with them? Go with them, but know that you're not going to be able to achieve anything. You're going to go with them for nothing, because but as hadavar azeh, this matter, this thing, the only thing that you're going to achieve is asher adaber elecha, that which I speak to you. The fact that I speak to you, that God speaks to you, that's the only thing you're going to be able to achieve, because I have decided that you will be a prophet, and therefore I will speak to you. But besides that, nothing else. Achas hadavar azeh, only that thing, asher adaber elecha, which I will speak to you. The fact that I will speak to you, that's the only thing you're going to be able to achieve, is to get me to talk to you. More than that, as we see later on from the story, you're not going to be able to achieve. And ultimately Balak did summon Bilam, and Bilam did come in the end, and we know that he ended up giving the Jewish people great blessings. Included in that is the blessing that we say every morning, Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, how goodly are your tents, Jacob. And so this is the message that he was giving to him. Go, but you're not going to achieve anything other than the fact that I speak to you, which in itself, of course, is a great achievement. And Hashem had decided, for his own reasons, that he should have individuals that he calls prophets. Ultimately, because that way the non-Jewish people cannot turn around and say, look, if you would have given us prophets as well, we would have also been okay. He did give non-Jews the ability to be prophets, but ultimately it didn't change the non-Jewish world, certainly at that time. We then move on to the rest of the story, where Bilam gets on his donkey, his she-donkey, and he's riding along the way, and suddenly the she-donkey sees the angel with a sword and stops. Bilam doesn't yet see this, and it can't go. The donkey can't go anymore, so he moves side to side, and we're told, the Torah tells us that it was in a very narrow way. And there was Gader Mizer v'Gader Mizer. There was a fence on this side and a fence on that side. This was in the narrow paths that they were in the vineyards. Gader Mizer v'Gader Mizer. A fence on this side and a fence on this side. Rashi, which seems very straightforward, there was a very narrow fence on either side. Rashi feels the need to comment, and he says that what does this mean? Gader Mizer v'Gader Mizer. A fence on this side, a fence on this side. He says it is Stam Gader Shel Avonim Hu. He comments ultimately that this is a fence, that the term Gader, Stam Gader, the term Gader without further definition, Shel Avonim Hu, is one of stone. It's one of stone. What does that make a difference? Who cares what it is? The Torah is not a book in which the details like that make a big difference. What caused Rashi to feel the need to clarify to us the makeup of the fence that was there? That seems irrelevant to the story. It was in a narrow path, and he couldn't move anywhere, i.e. only straight ahead. There was an angel there, and it says, why couldn't he move? Because Gader Mizer v'Gader Mizer. There was a fence either side. Rashi says this was a fence of stone. The reason is because stone here was very significant. If we cast our minds back to Jacob, Yaakov and Lavan, they made a pact. They made a covenant together, and they made a monument to prove this. Right in the book of Bereshit, if we remember, it says, Eid Hagal Hazeh ve'eda hamatzeva. This mound shall be a witness, and the monument shall be a witness. What for? Im ani lo ever elechas hagal hazeh, that I may not cross over to you past this mound. Vim ata loisa ve'elais hagal hazeh, nor may you cross over to me past this mound. Vesamatzeva hazois, and this monument l'ra'ah, for evil. So they made the pact. They said, we're not going to do any harm to each other, and this is the monument of the witness, and the witness that happens. What was it made out of? Stones, avonim. Bilam was a descendant of Lavan, of Laban. Bilam was a great-great-grandson of Lavan, and he was the first one to go against this particular agreement. To defy this particular arrangement, agreement not to harm the Jewish people, the family of Lavan. And therefore the message that was being sent to him over here, and what Rashi is trying to point out to us, is that he was punished measure for measure therefore. The stone wall which his leg was crushed against and he became lame was because that was a punishment for being the first one to transgress, so to speak, and to go against the covenant and the arrangement that was made with Lavan and Yaakov, between Lavan and Yaakov all those years back. And therefore Rashi wants to clarify to us why it was necessary for the Torah to tell us that there was a fence, and which type of fence was it? It was that of stone, because it relates to that time going back to Yaakov and Lavan and the arrangement that they made between them. And then we know the rest of the story, of course, that at this point Bilam hits the donkey, the she donkey, and Vayiftach Hashem es pi ha'asoin. Vayiftach Hashem es pi ha'asoin. That Hashem opened the mouth of the she donkey, and of course it says, what have I done to you? I've never done anything to you. Start speaking to him. Now let's think about this for a minute. If Hashem wanted to send Bilam a message, he could have done it in a number of ways. Make him see the angel himself, or many different ways. To make a donkey speak is a very significant thing, to the point that we are told in Perek in Ethics of Our Fathers that this is one of the 10 things that God created by creation, just before Shabbat by creation. 10 special things that he was going to do throughout history. He had to create especially this idea that a donkey can speak. It's unusual. And this is a tremendous miracle. Now Hashem doesn't do anything out of the ordinary, outside of nature, unless there's a very good reason. And the reason was he was sending Bilam over here a very powerful message. It says, you think you're so great because I speak to you, because you're a prophet. It's not true. I've done it simply because you are a vehicle to bless the Jewish people. Look, if I want to, I can make a donkey speak. You can speak, the donkey can speak. You're no better than the donkey. Just like the donkey can speak, you also can speak to God, and I can make you speak. And therefore, if you think you can go and defy me, and go and think that I'm going to curse the Jewish people nevertheless, even though I've told you that you're not going to be able to. And ultimately Bilam did go with the mindset that he was going to curse the Jewish people. Hashem says to him, you are no better than donkey. I'll show you. The donkey can speak and see an angel, which you can't do. So you are just like the same as the donkey, or in fact you're even lower than the donkey at this particular point. And that is why Hashem caused this particular miracle to happen, that the donkey spoke, because it would put Bilam in his place to understand who really is running things. And ultimately he did understand that, and he blessed the Jewish people, at least initially, with those blessings that I referred to earlier on. As ever, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy it. Please do send me feedback and share this video with family and friends. Goodbye.